We have just gotten the first teaser for Black Ops 7 Zombies. This came as a massive shock to me. I wasn't expecting it at all during the Xbox Game Showcase. There was no prior build-up or announcements at all. And the campaign cutscene they showed was extremely interesting. However, I do want to urge all of you to temper your expectations. I feel the last two Call of Duty campaigns marketings have been extremely misleading, making us think the campaigns just was something entirely different to what they ended up being. But I'll talk more about the campaign in a separate video. This one, of course, is just going to be focusing on zombies. And whilst we only get a very extremely short teaser, it's literally only a few seconds long, there is actually a lot to discuss. And in this video, I'm going to unveil a load of information that I guarantee you won't have seen anywhere else, and it's going to be quite comprehensive. So first of all, I'll just play the little clip for you now, and then I'll jump into it. So Call of Duty has revealed that this is the first teaser of many to come, and the full reveal is going to be coming later this summer. They haven't given a specific date, but we can expect it in the next month or two. However, they say the community should be on the lookout for teasers, clues, and the surprises that the Black Ops series is known for. It's an exciting time as we prepare for a new Call of Duty reveal and the next great experience to come. Now, whilst I am excited for Black Ops 7 Zombies, I really am trying to be cautious, because this time last year when I was making the same videos about the Black Ops 6 Zombies marketing, I was so excited mainly for the storyline, and the storyline just has not panned out the way I was expecting it to be. And I think a lot of the issues that people are having with Black Ops 6 right now are because Treyarch have been forced to make Black Ops 6 and 7 back to back, and it has been officially confirmed now that Treyarch are the main developer with Ravensoft. They are helping once again. I know there were some prior rumors that they wouldn't be helping, but indeed they are. So whilst I'm looking forward to the game, I am being more wary than I usually would. It does feel really weird that we're getting two Black Ops games back to back, two round-based zombies experiences. So we actually have our first description on zombies. It says prepare to squad up with friends or play solo in a thrilling and innovative cooperative campaign. So yes, the rumors are true, it's going to be a co-op campaign, but like I said, I'll talk more about that soon. Harness near-future weaponry in a signature multiplayer experience packed with brand new maps. So yes, even though it's going to be a Black Ops 2 sequel in 2035, and they'll probably have a load of Black Ops 2 multiplayer maps remade, they are doubling down and saying that there's going to be new maps as well. But the only relevance to zombies here is that because we're getting near future weaponry, they'll of course come over to zombies as well. However, it seems like zombies is not going to be set in the near future. In fact, it seems like it's going to be very distinct from the settings of the rest of the game, which I think is a great thing. Zombies in the past used to not always align directly with where the campaigns were set, and it seems to be the case once again for Black Ops 7, finally at last, which I think is a good thing for innovation and going to crazier environments and atmospheres, because they say descend into the next twisted chapter of round-based zombies in the heart of the dark ether. Yes, that's right, Black Ops 7 Zombies maps are going straight into the dark ether for once. Ever since we went into the dark ether in D Machine, we have been asking for fully dark ether maps, and we are getting them at last. So this little teaser clip that we saw has a little purple tint to it, and that's because it's physically going to be inside of the dark ether. But there's a lot more to the story than meets the eye, which I'll dive into in a second. But jumping into the teaser, we see a bunch of zombies stood around, and then there's some bright headlights, which is surely the transit bus or a vehicle that is somewhat similar to it. This is clearly making us think that it's the transit bus. If it ends up being a different vehicle, it's probably going to be somewhat similar, because as you know, it's been leaked for a while now that one of the launch maps for Black Ops 7 Zombies is going to be a transit-esque map. Apparently it's going to be a colossal map, kind of like an Outbreak map, but it's not going to be Outbreak, it's going to be round-based. Now Treyarch have said this is going to be a round-based game. We're getting 2 years of round-based back-to-back. I know there's been leaks about Outbreak returning in the files of the game, etc. I'm not sure if that will end up panning out. That might have been cut. However, we might get something similar to Outbreak or similar to an open world experience where it's an extremely large map that we can traverse and explore, somewhat similar to the original Transit. However, you might be playing on rounds instead. Maybe there'll still be objectives you can complete around the map, but maybe they're not going to be forced upon you, or maybe they're part of the linear map progression. But in the files of the game, there's been a dark ether vehicle leaked for a while, and I have to assume that's what this is. Now, like I said, I don't know if it is going to literally be the transit bus. It very well could be ripped into the dark ether. We could be playing a distorted version of it. I would so love to hear Ted once again. But lots of people have been thinking this teaser is transit itself, but I'm not exactly sure. The leaks have been saying so far it's going to be a transit-inspired map. So it might be somewhat similar to transit. Maybe it has some paths from transit, but it might not be transit directly. Because if you see in the distance, there seems to be some sort of big, what kind of looks like a cooling tower or a water tower or something like that. And if you put it side by side to the Janus Towers cooling towers, they look very similar. So I'm wondering if this is actually still in Liberty Falls, believe it or not. As you know, it's been rumored for a while now that Black Ops 6 Zombies was supposed to have some sort of outbreak experience. And it makes sense that we were initially going to play on Avalon as an open world map, explaining why we get Citadel Daymore and the Tomb side by side. And maybe there was going to be a Liberty Falls outbreak map where the town itself, Janus Towers, and the mansion, Shattered Vale, were all going to be points of interest, but instead they were released separately as round-based maps when somewhere along the lines the outbreak version might have gotten canned in place for Modern Warfare Zombies or for some other reason. And this is backed up by what you see in the game itself, because there are streets that connect all of the different points, suggesting at one point in time we might have been able to traverse through each section. And the storyline backs this up as well, because the intel in Cold War Zombies talked about a giant wall being built around the West Virginian town, which sounds similar to how the incursion zone would keep you encased in Outbreak. So that could have been in place of that, but there's no wall present on the release version of the map. So I'm wondering if this could actually be that large version of Liberty Falls that we have talked about before and has been rumored. Maybe it was initially planned for Black Ops 6, but it's been postponed for Black Ops 7 instead. And maybe it's no longer a straight up Outbreak experience, but it's been repackaged or repurposed into a large scale round-based map. So Janus Towers, the mansion, the town itself could all be a part of this map. But maybe there are going to be transit elements as well. Lots of people have been pointing out that this looks very similar to Farm. We see there is a windmill and there's trees and long grass. Aesthetically, it does look similar to Farm, but all farms look very similar, so it's really hard to tell because the cutscene itself is very dark and blurry, and you do see the mystery box light in the background, and there does seem to be some electricity in the sky, which is obviously very reminiscent of what we've seen of the Dark Ether before. You know, maybe Liberty Falls initially was even going to be more transit inspired than it ended up being. I know that's what we were speculating about pre-launch, and maybe that was going to be the case, but some of those old concepts could instead be saved for Black Ops 7. We will just have to wait and see. If the transit bus is back though, could the transit crew be back? I mean, they just got sent into the Dark Ether. They technically never got killed, but they probably mutated into some sort of corrupted creature or just died over the eons. They would be elder gods by now if they survived all of that time though, so I don't think they're going to reference them, but maybe there's going to be a piece of intel or something that gives us closure. But honestly, I would rather them just leave that as a mystery and leave it up to us to speculate about what happened to them. Now, I'm so excited to go into the Dark Ether because I do think that whilst Black Ops 6 Zombies has improved in terms of map locales and making the atmospheres more rich when compared to Cold War Zombies, they are still not good enough, and I think that's largely in part due to them being set very close to each other. However, as you know from the leaks, you will know that concepted maps for Black Ops 7 Zombies seem a lot more ambitious, and Treyarch apparently want to go to more out there locations, such as this Dark Ether large transit-like map, apparently an alternative of New York where the Nazis have taken over the city, a space station, a Shohin temple with an erupting volcano behind, Afghanistan, and some others. Now, these were just concepted maps, so it doesn't necessarily mean they're all going to make it into the released version of the game, but I'm sure we're going to see some of them. But these all could be set inside of the Dark Ether, meaning we're going to much more out there and wild locations that enrich you and envelop you a lot more in the atmosphere. This is what we've been asking for so long, and I really hope Treyarch pull through. Now, as you know, there's been rumors as well for a DLC 5 for Black Ops 6 Zombies, which some of the rumors were actually this concept, and it's like I've talked about in prior videos, some sort of large-scale Liberty Falls, and maybe this is it. Maybe it didn't end up being DLC 5, but it's ended up in Black Ops 7 Zombies as a launch map. Now, in terms of the launch maps for Black Ops 7 Zombies, we know Dead Ops Arcade's apparently going to be back, so we'll see Dead Ops Arcade 4, and we're also going to be seeing this large map that we've seen a teaser for. I don't know about any other maps though. We might just get these two on launch. The other 4 maps that have leaked might be all of the DLC maps, for example. We will just have to wait and see if they do 2 experiences on launch launch. But if this is a Liberty Falls, which obviously this is just speculation, we do not know for sure. It's really hard to tell. It does look similar. You can even see the little pylons sticking out at the top in a very similar fashion, but it's hard to tell exactly. But if this is actually Liberty Falls, what does this mean storyline-wise? Well, as you know, it's leaked the original characters are going to be returning in Black Ops 7 Zombies, which is absolutely insane. And Janus Towers is the DLC 4 final map for Black Ops 6 Zombies. And if the original characters are going to be returning, then they have to be probably returning on Janus Towers as the cliffhanger to close up the map, and then the Black Ops 7 Zombies marketing can truly begin after then, and we'll get the full-on reveal probably soon after Janus Towers is revealed. And if that's the case, then it makes sense that this is the Liberty Falls, where the original characters are going to be brought back. And there's more evidence to suggest this because, as Marguaz pointed out on Twitter, there was a leak ages ago, before Black Ops 6 even released, that there was going to be some sort of Element 115 event coming to Black Ops 6 Zombies. Specifically, it was for an event called Control. A meteorite has broken apart above the area, scattering fragments of Element 115 across the AO. Each fragment is highly volatile and must be destroyed. The guild is already on site attempting to retrieve them, locate and destroy every fragment, and eliminate any threats in the area. So as you know, I've been talking about Element 115 seems to be coming back to Zombies after it's not been seen since it got thrown into the Dark Ether at the ending of Tag der Toten, but it randomly showed up in Modern Warfare Zombies, which is obviously post Black Ops 6/7 Zombies, and it also is referenced now on the ray gun in Black Ops 6, which was its original inspiration fused with cold fusion technology as per the terminal in Black Ops 1, but it's never been officially confirmed in this way until now. Now this was obviously something cut from Black Ops 6, maybe it was going to be a Warzone event or something like that, but it actually seems to be something for Black Ops 7 all along. Maybe it was just left in the files early on, because as Marguaz pointed out on Twitter, Variety have confirmed that one of the main characters in the Black Ops 7 campaign is the CEO of the Guild.
I'm Emma Kagan, CEO of the Guild.
And this leak previously mentioned these 115 meteorites being hunted by the Guild. Now the Guild seems to be this tech corporation that is running simulations or something like that. Maybe it's got to do with the backstory of Blackout or Black Ops 3's campaign.
Welcome to the Guild. We have been expecting you.
I'm not exactly sure, but obviously that's the campaign stuff, but it seems to be tying into zombie stuff because they seem to be after Element 115 for some weird reason. So there's a parallel there, so it definitely seems like Element 115 might be back. Maybe this is some sort of event that we're going to see on this large-scale map, whatever this is, whether it's Liberty Falls, Transit, some sort of hybrid, whatever it ends up being. But if Element 115 is returning, this is somehow tied to how the original characters are going to be returning, because the big question so far has been how on earth are they going to make it make sense? Well, the original characters' souls got bonded with Element 115. As Richtofen says in Blackout, they are Element 115, essentially.
Ah, that's the trouble with Element 115. I am it, and it is me.
They were bonded with the Elemental Shard, but that broke up when the old multiverse got purged and the new one was born. However, if Element 115 is back, then that surely contains the essence of the original characters that the Warden, the leader of the Shadowsmith, seems to be wanting to restore by harvesting the essence of the characters. And that is the premise of Black Ops 7 Zombies, and that is probably explaining why we're inside of the Dark Ether for this game. And the big thing is, if we're inside the Dark Ether, this is how Treyarch can finally be keeping the zombie storyline separate to the campaigns and the overall Call of Duty universe, because they don't have to worry about what time era they're in. Time works differently, time passes differently inside of the Dark Ether. So what I think is going to happen by the end of Janus Towers is that Requiem gets sucked into the Dark Ether itself, and then they meet the original characters in there, and then we're left on a cliffhanger to lead us into Black Ops 7. And that's why they end up dying in Modern Warfare Zombies, because it might actually happen by the end of Black Ops 7 if they end up coming out of the Dark Ether by the end of the game, but they're too exposed to the Dark Ether and so they have to purge themselves. This all makes sense, and it would make sense why the original characters are back in a Liberty Falls-like map, or even Liberty Falls itself, but inside of the Dark Ether itself. Now we know that the SAM AI, as well as Richtofen, both wants to activate the Sentinel Artifact, so I'm guessing one of which will activate the Sentinel Artifact on Janus Towers, and when it does, it could actually plunge the characters into the Dark Ether, as well as maybe even the town itself.
Those towers were built to test our faith, and we had none to hold back the evil within them. Janus people filled my church, drank my wine, asked for forgiveness. I was overjoyed. My pride blinded me from seeing their true design. Liberty Falls was chosen to be the genesis of the end. I gaze upon this rapture with calm and serenity as I await the warm embrace of paradise.
And we have quite a bit of evidence for this because, as I said earlier, the Call of Duty blog references Black Ops 7 Zombies as taking place within the Dark Aether's heart itself. So it doesn't just say the Dark Aether, it says its heart. Where have we heard of the Dark Aether's heart before? Well, this is what the Nexus inside of the tomb was described as within the music, the theme that would play when you enter. So the Nexus is seemingly the core of the Dark Aether, and that's of course where the Odin artifact resided and where it was from. So it seems like we might be going back to the Nexus, and that could be what we are seeing, but a different part of the Nexus. But part of the central artifact that we've attached to it is the amulet, and we don't know much about the amulet, of course, we just know that the owl had it for a while. However, we can see that it contains a galaxy on it, and the quotes inside of the tomb from Gray specifically seem to imply that the amulet contains a universe within itself, potentially even the Dark Aether Nexus. I'll play that for you now.
The amulet looks like it contains a tiny galaxy. It makes me wonder if this is all happening inside it.
And you are making me wonder what you smoked for breakfast. And if you have any more.
So what this means is that it might contain the Dark Aether within the Dark Aether itself. And I know that's a really high-level concept to understand, but I guess it's somewhat similar to the concept of the summoning key in the Aether storyline, where, as depicted, a universe springs from it in Tag the Toten. It essentially contained the universe within itself, whilst being a part of the universe itself. And maybe the amulet could actually be similar. So when we activate the central artifact, now powered up because it's connected with the amulet, we might get plunged into that universe, but the universe itself is a pocket dimension inside of the Dark Aether. And ages ago I made a wild video talking about how maybe they're going to retcon the Templar symbol, which was obviously meant to be a Nazi reference to the Black Sun, so I could understand why Treyarch wanted to get away from that original inspiration, to actually be the central artifact, because it looks very similar. Now I know that's a batshit theory, and I don't think it's going to be true. However, all of the evidence here seems to be lining up. If we're going back to the Dark Aether's heart, its Nexus, where the Odin artifacts seem to reside from, where Yggdrasil is, then maybe Primis / the original characters could be guardians of the Dark Aether, guardians of the central artifacts, maybe each assigned to one of them. And with the Shadowsmiths trying to harvest their essence, they might have to defend the Dark Aether from within against them. And whilst Archibald gets into the Nexus without the amulet, I think it's entirely possible that the Nexus is a tangible place you can activate whilst being inside the amulet at the exact same time, in a weird wibbly wobbly timey-wimey way. Just don't think too deeply about it. Obviously Gray is not exactly a spokesperson, but she is a scientist after all, so she should have a good understanding of these things. Could the entire Dark Aether universe even be a part of the amulet and not just its heart? So I think both Requiem and the original characters are going to be in Black Ops 7 Zombies, but I don't know if we're going to have an 8-player crew or we can just select from up to 4 of either of these / any of the operators in the game, similar to Black Ops 7, because it was leaked before that there would be 8 players, so I think both are going to be a part of it, because there's too many loose ends right now to explain how on earth they all get tied up with just one map left, seemingly for Black Ops 6 Zombies. So I think all of those loose threads are going to be safe for Black Ops 7, which is why I think probably both sets of crews might be there, but I don't know for sure. We'll just have to wait and see, but I think that needs to happen, to be honest, to be able to properly flesh out these characters, which definitely have not been fleshed out enough inside of Black Ops 6, I think, because they've really been rushing at the speed of which they've been releasing those maps. And I think that's the biggest criticism of Black Ops 6 Zombies. They rushed out maps so quickly, and now we're in a big wait to Janus Towers, where it's going to be releasing forever away. We still have a couple months left, and I think the reason for that is because they had to rush out the maps to get to the Black Ops 7 reveal, and I think Treyarch probably wanted a map every single season, but because they had to work on Black Ops 7 Zombies simultaneously, 2 round-based maps back to back, they've had to prioritize content for Black Ops 7, and I think right now, they're just hard at work on getting Black Ops 7 Zombies ready for launch, and the whole game ready for launch. They're not focusing on Black Black Ops 6, and that's why we're going into this massive drought period right now, which is disappointing. I really do think that they need to focus on just one game at a time and not many different projects. I really hope after Black Ops 7, Zombies gets a little rest for a while, where we wait a few years again for Treyarch to make a really solid project where they don't have to work on side modes like Vanguard Zombies or Modern Warfare Zombies. They just focus on one title and make it as solid as possible, because otherwise their efforts get scattered across many different games and so much stuff ends up getting cancelled when they're trying to do too much and you have too many cooks in the kitchen and there's a lack of direction. I think that's the biggest problem with Black Ops 6 Zombies, especially with its storytelling. It feels like there's too many loose threads and there's a lack of overall cohesion and direction, and I think that's because they're trying to do too much right now. I'm sure it's very difficult for them to be trying to make the original characters returning right, because they really need to hit the nail on the head with that to make it not just feel contrived and undo their original deaths, and they only get one opportunity to bring them back. If they fail, they're not going to just be able to do it again, so it's hard to juggle writing the narrative, I would assume, for both games. And I think it feels especially weird when it feels like Black Ops 6 Zombies will quickly be forgotten when we jump ship to Black Ops 7 literally within a space of a year. Games in the past used to last for eons. For example, we're still talking about Black Ops 3 Zombies and its secrets to this date. We won't be talking about Black Ops 6 in a year. That's just the unfortunate truth. They need to just focus on one thing that's going to have a legacy that will last for years to come, instead of just trying to pump and pump and pump and pump stuff out at a crazy pace that doesn't have staying power and isn't as impactful or memorable. That's the biggest problem I have, regardless of how good Black Ops 6 or Black Ops 7 ends up being by the time the games are finished with. There's a lack of building something up that will last for years. It's always about the next thing and getting you onto the next Call of Duty. That is the cycle that traps us. And there is another shot of a jail cell which everyone is saying looks very similar to Alcatraz, Mob of the Dead / Blood of the Dead, and I definitely see it. It looks eerily similar, and in one of the cages you can see two hands sticking out, which kind of look like zombie hands, but it's too hard to tell. I don't know how this would make sense storyline wise though, but really it could be any old jail cell in the campaign. Obviously it's before when the campaign stuff is being shown, so maybe they're just trying to throw us off. Let me know, do you think it is in fact Alcatraz, or do you think that this is just something from the campaign? But if the leader of the Shadowsmiths is a warden, what if they are literally the warden of Alcatraz? I mean, we did just have Brutus in the Vault edition of Black Ops 6. So that's everything I wanted to talk about in this video. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, like I said at the start, I'll be making a separate video just talking about the campaign and the other stuff from this reveal. It really came as a left field. I have plenty more videos that I'm working on right now that I'm having to put on hold just for this. So I really wish things were scheduled better, or at least I could foresee what's going to happen a bit better. But anyways, let me know in the comments, are you hyped for this game? Are you trying to temper your expectations like I am? The bit of hope I'm having for Black Ops 7 is hopefully the post-launch doesn't get affected by them having to then work on some other projects at the same time, like happened with Cold War Zombies. They were rushed onto Vanguard Zombies, or like what happened with Black Ops 4, they were rushed onto Cold War Zombies post-launch, or like with Black Ops 6 Zombies, they were then having to work on Black Ops 7 Zombies simultaneously. I'm hoping that they get a break now from Zombies, and that way they can really go ham with the post-launch content and really focus it in, instead of having to juggle some other projects at the same time. I'm praying, but honestly the Activision gods will probably end up screwing them, and then they get first to work on Modern Warfare 4 Zombies or Advanced Warfare 2 Zombies or something like that just a year later. We will have to wait and see. Anyways, thank you for watching the video. Make sure to subscribe if you're not for latest and greatest Call of Duty news information. So anyways, thank you for watching, and bye.